أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم أرنا حقا حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we are going to learn about the constitution of Medina and the change of Qibla today. So, inshallah, let's start. So, as we learned in the previous session about the migration to Medina, now we know that Prophet ﷺ has a place where he can like implement the rules for which are according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent the Sharia for, right? So now, and he, wherever we see, we learn that Prophet ﷺ and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically wants a kind of community in which everybody respects everybody, where they care for each other, where they are concerned about others. So that's why now Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina, now he gave a constitution. So just as the Prophet ﷺ established a code of brotherhood among the believers, he was also eager to foster good relationship between the Muslims and Jews as well as the non-Muslims. So he didn't want only the Muslims to have a good lifestyle. He wanted to have a proper system, how to deal with the Jews, what are the rights of the Jews, and what are the rights of the non-Muslims. So now he gave the rules for that. And this was unheard of in Arabia. They, as we learned previously, they were having like civil wars. They were fighting for just very minute things, just for the horse, or just they would have such long wars just on very petty things. So now Prophet ﷺ wanted this to end. So he formulated a treaty with the goal of eliminating pre-Islamic animosities and inter-tribal conflicts. The Prophet ﷺ was thorough in ensuring that no aspect of the agreement would allow pre-Islamic practice to resurface or disrupt the new environment he sought to create. So he wanted the new city, the new country, or the new area he is gonna rule now to have a peace in it. So that's why he gave the constitution in which everybody had their own clauses. So for Muslims, he said, of the clause the Prophet ﷺ said in the constitution, the Muslim from the Quraysh and Yasrib and those who join them are of one ummah, and this ummah is in and unto itself. That means that Muslims, whether they are Muhajirun, they migrated, or whether they are from Medina, they are one ummah. They are like one part, one nation. They will be like, remember, like we learned before that in the time of before Islam, and these people are the same. It's just been like 15-20 years. It's not even like that. It's not even 15 years now since and some of them accepted Islam just few years ago or few months ago. So can you imagine a person who has those values for so long, and now he has to give them up, all of them, just because they accepted Islam? So before Islam, they were used to fight with each other. Each tribe had their own ego that we are better than you, and they were fighting with other tribe to prove them that we are better than you. And so now Prophet ﷺ said, nobody is Muhajir here, nobody is Ansar here, you are one ummah, you are like one entity now. There is gonna be no like distinguish between any of the, like, it doesn't matter which tribe you belong to, you are just one ummah, you are just one Muslim, right? Even nowadays, we see that we don't act like a ummah. We say, oh, he's from there, and like I think one of the main problem with us nowadays is this, that we are not one ummah. Otherwise, when we see our brothers suffering so badly, how can we not act on it? When we have been given the order that if you see somebody being suppressed, you have to act on it, you have to help them. And now we see that we have, so I don't even know the exact number of how many Muslims are there in the world, in billions, and our brothers are being tortured, executed, and we are not doing anything. That's the lesson Prophet ﷺ gave, that you have to act as an ummah, as a one entity. And Prophet ﷺ said that ummah is like, if one part of the body hurts, the other part of the body feels pain, right? But that's the dilemma, that we are not feeling that pain, or our leaders are not feeling that pain which the other part of the body is suffering through. And it's going to spread. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us and help our brothers in Islam, inshallah. And then he mentioned 40 tribes, sub-tribes, all by their names, and said, every sub-tribe will be left with their own responsibilities they had before Islam. They shall take care of their own blood money disputes, their own prisoners of wars, and their own poors. So in this early stage, the welfare system was like, it wasn't, later on, the Prophet ﷺ developed a local welfare system, but at this time, it was very local to the own tribe. If someone needed help, they would keep it in their tribal level. So means you can say, like Prophet ﷺ made some sub level, or you can say community governments, in that every tribe will deal with their own affairs. But if they have a bigger affair which concern more than one tribe, then they will come to Prophet ﷺ. So another clause, all of the Muslims shall unite together, unite against those who do injustice, even if it be one of their own. So this means if somebody does zulm, oppression, even if he is a Muslim, everyone will unite against him. And we learned about this in the time of Makkah too, when Prophet ﷺ wasn't even a Muslim, like he wasn't even given the wahi. Even then, when there was a person who complained to Prophet, who came to uh, Abu Tal, I forgot. He came to, and then he said that they are not giving me my share. Then they all made a pact that we are gonna support the person who's oppressed. So Prophet ﷺ was a part of that pact. So over here too, he said that we are gonna do justice, and nobody, if somebody is being suppressed or oppressed, we are gonna support them. It doesn't matter, even if he's from your own tribe, you're not gonna support him. You're gonna support the person who is being oppressed and not the oppressor. And the final clause was that the protection granted by Muslim is equal for all, and even the most humble amongst them can extend it. Means, like, in that society, we have already learned that even Prophet ﷺ needed like a protection when he went when he was in Makkah. When his uncle died, he didn't have any protection, so he went to Taif, and there he was hurt, and then he came back, and a person gave him the protection, and then he was able to enter the Makkah again. So in that society, people needed protection to live in a place. So over here, but the clause is that it doesn't matter who is giving the protection. It doesn't matter if that person is a leader or if that person is an ordinary man. Even if he's a kid and he gives a protection to a person, then we are gonna value that protection. Nobody can harm that person if any of us has given the protection to a person. Uh, um, and then even if that person is non-Muslim, nobody can harm it if he's given the protection. The Prophet ﷺ emphasized that any Muslim, regardless of social standing, has the authority to grant his visa, or the authority to the person who needs it. So these were the clause. So Prophet ﷺ basically is making Muslims, telling them that you are one ummah. Now you cannot act like that you have different like rights and different status. Now all of you are one. Then, uh, as we have learned before, that in Medina, beside the people who have become Muslim now, the Ansar, there were very few non-Muslims left, and there were other Jews tribes too. As we learned that the Jews were waiting for a prophet to come, and they came there, and they were different tribes of Jews in Medina. So it was very important to make a pact with them too. So Prophet ﷺ made the pact, and he said that the Jewish tribes were recognized as a distinct ummah with autonomy over their own dispute. Means Jews have their own rules. They will follow their own rules. They will, if there is a dispute, blood money, internal matters, unless they involve both Muslims and Jews or request Muslims intervention. Means if they have any problem with their own tribes, they will deal with it. But if they have the problem with a Muslim tribe, or if they have they want Muslims to intervene, then they will intervene and help them, or resolve that problem. And then second clause was mutual defense. In times of external threat, both Muslims and Jews were obligated to defend Medina together and share the financial cost of defense equally. So means Prophet ﷺ told them that you can deal with your internal affairs, but if we have somebody who is going to attack us, and then we have to act as one entity. So subhanallah, how like this shows us the wisdom of Prophet ﷺ, because if you have someone who is internally hurting you, how can you deal with the external forces, right? So that's what Prophet ﷺ told them, that if we have any external threat, somebody is trying to attack us from outside, you are going to help the Muslims. And then the third was permission to leave Medina. Jews could not leave Medina without the Prophet ﷺ's permission, as leaving was seen as renouncing loyalty to state, akin to changing citizenships. So that means, it doesn't mean that, oh, okay, if you are going for trade, or if you are going to some other place just for a visit, you have to take permission from Muhammad Prophet ﷺ. It meant that if you are leaving Medina forever, like you remember when we learned that Prophet ﷺ went to Taif, but he didn't tell anybody, because he knew that if they would find out that he's leaving, they would know that he has left, right? So over here too, leaving means that he has left that place forever, and that means that he is not loyal to your state anymore. So that means he's renouncing his citizenship from that area. So that for that they needed permission from Prophet ﷺ. Even now, if we even now it's the same. If we renounce our citizenship, we need to tell the government about that. Then protection for converts. Any Jew who converted to Islam was to be protected and helped, with no harm or injustice allowed against him. So if a Jew became Muslim, he will be protected. Then the clause related to non-believers. At this time, there were not a lot of non-believers, but there were still some non-believers in Medina. And they were like, after the Battle of Badr, which will happen in some time, all of the people became Muslim, because they knew that this is the right way, or some of them became the hypocrites, but inshallah we will learn about them later on. So the key clause established by Prophet ﷺ was, no polytheist shall offer protection to Quraysh, like, because they had the soft corner for the Quraysh, because they both were polytheists. So Prophet ﷺ said, no, the non-believers in Medina will not be giving protection to Quraysh, because that will be a betrayal to Muslims, right? Even in exchange for life or money, nor shall they intervene between the Quraysh and the believers. So they are saying that you cannot help the Quraysh if they are fighting with believers or anything. This means that no one in Medina could support or defend a pagan of Makkah, or interfere in conflicts between Makkah and Medina. Importantly, this also indicates that Prophet ﷺ permitted pagans to reside in Medina. So he allowed the non-believers to live in Medina, but he said that you cannot help the people of Quraysh or the other the disbelievers who are not from Medina. And then these two are the general clause, which Prophet ﷺ said. Clause regarding general provisions for everyone. The Prophet ﷺ declared the interior of Yathrib. So over here you see the name Yathrib is used, and we learned before that the name of Medina was Yathrib, and Prophet ﷺ changed it to Medina. So these constitution was made in the very early time before the name was changed. That's why the name Yathrib is used in the constitution. So the Prophet ﷺ declared the interior of Yathrib to be haram. That means it's a sacred place. As we learned that Makkah is a haram, and the Medina is a haram too. Meaning all rules associated with haram must be observed, such as prohibition on unsheltered weapon, plucking plants, hunting and fighting. So that means Prophet ﷺ specifically designed or gave a boundary which is haram. And he also clearly outlined the boundaries of Medina, defining the haram area between two volcanic formations to the east and west, and the mountains of Air and Thor to the south and north. So he was very specific in his commands that this whole area, which is between two volcano mountain formations and two mountains of Air and Sor, is the place where there should be no plucking of plants, hunting, fighting, or unsteady means to unshield your weapon, right? So these rules were given, and this was the constitution of which was given in Medina. So there are a lot of points of benefits which we get from this constitution, but I noted just 3 of them. So inshallah, we can learn that this was a very important constitution which was made by Prophet ﷺ in that early time. So new basis for relationship. The Prophet ﷺ redefined relationship based on theology rather than tribal lineage. So we learned that before they regarded people, they respected people according to their tribal lineage. If he belonged to which tribe they belong to, what status do they have in their tribe, and but now Prophet ﷺ said it doesn't matter which tribe you belong to, you are one ummah. And subhanallah, if we can believe that right now, how many problems can be solved? Like even now, I don't know about you people, but in our countries, uh, we don't respect people according we people give respect to other people according to their professions. If a person is doing an ordinary job or working in other people's home, they don't give them that respect which they will give to a person who has a higher status in the society. Although although if you look at the namaz, at the salah, at when we go to congregation in masjid, what happens? It doesn't matter which level of society you belong to. It doesn't matter if you are a rich person or a poor person. If you went there early, you will stand in the first saf. If you went late, it doesn't matter. Even if you are the president, you are gonna stand in the last row. So, subhanallah, Islam get wants us to get rid of these uh, levels in which we give like the hierarchy we give to the people according to their wealth. Islam gives the higher level to the people who are more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because a person who is going to masjid early must love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they are trying to reach to the masjid before before the other people. So the more you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more level you have in Islam. So this was a revolutionary in Arabia, breaking away from tribal identity and establishing equality between Bilal and Abu Bakr. So that's the thing which I was saying. Like Bilal radiallahu anhu was a slave, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was a merchant, and he was a rich person. He had a high stature in the society, but Islam makes them equal. Islam only respects you on your basis of your taqwa, of how fearful of Allah you are. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us in really implementing the Islam in our daily lives. And we can look at the people according to their stature with Allah and not in their status in the society or by how much money they have. Then justice and respect for Jews. The Prophet ﷺ treated the Jews with respect, granting them full right. They were recognized as separate ummah, but with mutual obligations, such as not siding with enemies like Quraysh. And we will learn that they were later punished because they broke those treaties and not because they were Jews. And religious freedom, Islam allowed religious freedoms through not unlimited. Non-Muslims could practice their religion, including even selling alcohol amongst themselves, but not preach or convert others. So these were the rights given to the non-Muslims in an Islamic society. So this was the constitution of Medina. I know this mostly people are not very interested in topics like this, but I thought this is a very important part of our Seerah. We learned that Prophet ﷺ was like not an ordinary person. He was such a good leader. Just give me a second. sorry. So he was such a good leader, and he was even like he even was even making rules and laws, subhanallah. So he did get all these wahis, these orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, we are gonna learn about another topic, which is the change of Qibla. So you guys already know that we face the Kaaba now when we pray namaz. But this wasn't the case all the time. Before, when the prayer became obligatory, and even before that, when people were used to pray the non-obligatory prayers, people were used to face Jerusalem to pray their salah, because the previous prophets were used to pray to facing Jerusalem. So now, when the command, the initially the prophet was sallam, so when Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, he was used to face the Jerusalem too. In Makkah, he was used to, because in Makkah you can see which he was used to pray near Kaaba. Whichever direction he would say pray, the Kaaba would be in the center. So he was used to pray in a direction like Kaaba was in the middle, and then he would use to face toward the Jerusalem. But now, when they came to Makkah, now came to Medina, the Kaaba, the Makkah, and the Jerusalem are totally on a opposite direction. One is on the north, and one is on the south. So now they are facing their backs toward Kaaba when they are praying Salah. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Prophet Sallam that now you have to pray facing toward the Qibla, the Kaaba. Now, why was this? This was because now Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show the Jews that the Prophet ﷺ was following a real religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Do you guys know? Do you guys remember where Hazrat Ibrahim was used to face, like when he was used to pray? Or do you know who built the Kaaba first? If you can write it, it will be good. That who was the prophet who built Kaaba? He and
Ibrahim alayhi salam.
uh, yes, Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ismail alayhi salam. So the first place which was built for praying was Kaaba, and Prophet ﷺ was like Ibrahim alayhi salam was an ancestor of Prophet ﷺ. So even the other um, religions are also from the same prophet, but from Ishaq alayhi salam. So the first house built on earth to pray was Kaaba, was in Makkah, right? Even Makkah was built after that. First, the Kaaba was so the first house built for praying was Kaaba, and Prophet ﷺ knew that the this was in the books of the other religions, that the Kaaba will become like the Kaaba will be the place to look like to keep your direction toward to pray. So, and then because Makkah was the first original Qibla, so that's the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed the Qibla to Kaaba now. The Prophet ﷺ initially prayed Fajr facing Jerusalem, and then the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to change the Qibla, right? Now, upon receiving this revelation, the Prophet ﷺ immediately announced in its masjid that they will face the Kaaba now instead of Jerusalem. So now you can imagine, I just told you, like the both of the masjids are on the opposite direction. One is north and one is south. So now you can imagine the imam has to be in the front, and then everybody follows them. So if the imam has to look like face another direction which is totally opposite, if he is staying at the same place, then he will be behind all the people who are following him, right? So he has to go to the other direction, other corner of the room to pray, to make the salah, to lead the prayer, right? So now Prophet ﷺ had to what was the back of the masjid now became the front of the masjid, and the front is back, and now back is front. So he prayed the Zohar in the other direction, and then he told the companions to go and tell other people about the change in Qibla. So one of the companion was sent to another masjid, because they were not just only one masjid. Different people had their own area, in their own areas. They had their own masjids, because not everybody could come each prayer by traveling 1 hour of distance and pray in Masjid Nabwi, right? So they had their own masjids in their areas. So Prophet ﷺ told the companions to go and tell them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered of the change in Qibla. So one of the companion went, he prayed the Salah of Zohar with Prophet ﷺ, and he went to the place to tell the people about the change in Qibla. And when he went to the masjid, the people were already praying the Asr, because you can imagine, they didn't have the cars, they didn't have the cell phones, they didn't have any social media to inform the others. They had to go individually on horses or on by foot to tell other people about the news. So when he reached there, he might have done some chores. So when he reached the masjid, they were already praying Asr. So um while they were still praying, he called out from the back, "O people, I have just come from the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, where I prayed Zohar with him facing Makkah. The command to change direction has been revealed." So he told everybody, although they were praying, he knew that now, as the direction has changed for the Qibla, they have to change the direction. So like he said in a loud voice that now you have to change the direction. Upon hearing this, the entire congregation, including the Imam, turned mid prayer to face Makkah, with the Imam walking through the rows to the new front. Because if they just changed their position, they just faced the other way, then Imam would be at the end, and all the people following him will be facing the other direction, and he would be just at the back, right? So he had to go all the way, walking through the rows and to the other side. So this unique event gave the mosque its name, Masjid al-Qiblatain, the mosque of two Qiblas, as it was here that the congregation changed the direction of prayer during the Salah. However, this change did not take place in the presence of Prophet ﷺ at the particular mosque. So people mostly, even sometime before, I had this misconception that that Prophet ﷺ was leading the prayer when the angel came and gave him the command to change the Qibla, but that was not the case. Prophet ﷺ led the prayer of Zohar with the new Qibla, and then another Imam was leading a prayer at Asr time in another masjid, and it happened to him that they had to change the direction of their Qibla in the mid prayer, because of they got the message a little late. So this was the story of Masjid Qiblatain. Qiblatain means two Qiblas, because in that masjid they prayed a prayer in which they changed their direction in the middle of the prayer. And there is a big reward of praying in the masjid, oh, Masjid Qiblatain. So there is inshallah, we can learn a bit about Ashab Suf. So, so when after the Qibla was changed, the Prophet ﷺ ordered the previous fronts, which was now the back of the masjid, to be covered with a shade. So, like till this time, the masjid wasn't even covered. It didn't have any roof. Subhanallah. Can you imagine that a place where everybody comes to pray, that it doesn't even have a roof? So and Prophet ﷺ said that cover the back, which is now the back, and before it was the front, to cover the back first, because that was the place a lot of Sahabas who didn't have the home were used to live. So this was because the number of the immigrants arriving in Medina had grown beyond what the people of Medina could accommodate in their homes. Remember, we learned in the last lesson that of the Muakha, that they were used to give the people of Medina gave shelter, they gave them all the necessities of life. So, but now a lot of Mahajirun, the people who came from Makkah, so now they cannot be accommodated. So they needed some other place where they can be accommodated. So so each now arrived was taken in by Ansar family, but as the influx increased, the need for the communal shelter became evident. Thus, a section of masjid was designated as shelter, which came to be known as the Sufa, and those who stayed there were referred to Ahle al Sufa. So now the people, there were people who were living in the, which is now the back of the masjid, and they are called Ahlul Sufa. Um, the Ahlul Sufa held a special status in Islam history because of their exceptional faith and devotion. Many of them were among the elite of the companions, having given up everything to live in Prophet ﷺ's masjid. The Sufa became a place of learning, a type of early Islamic university where the Prophet ﷺ himself would spend time teaching. The Ahlul Sufa faced severe poverty to the point that the Prophet ﷺ had to instruct women in the prayer not to raise their heads from the sajda immediately, as some of Ahlul Sufa had so little clothing that their aura would be exposed during the prostration. Despite their hardship, they were among the most knowledgeable and dedicated of the companions. Inshallah, we will learn a little bit more about the Ashab al-Sufa next week, inshallah. And inshallah, um, because Ashabu Sufa, a lot of knowledge we have is transmitted to us through Ashabu Sufa, and they were basically, you can say that the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ was as a university. The people, even some of the Ansar, the people who were in from Medina, they came and stayed in the Sufa because they wanted to learn from Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you can imagine a very beautiful university in the masjid where they can learn from Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And a very famous Ashab Sufa is Ahle Sufa is do you know who has the most ahadith? If you can mention it, the
Abu
Sahaba.
Huraira. Abu
Yes,
Huraira.
Abu Huraira. Yes, very good. Jazakallah khair. So Abu Huraira was also an Ahle Suf. He was used to live in the masjid of Prophet Sallallahu, and we will learn about him more too, inshallah. He has a very interesting stories. And his mother was in Yemen, and she had money, but like they were not poor, but he wanted to learn from Prophet Sallallahu, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him so much blessings that he is the one who narrated the most ahadith. So he was also used to live in Sufa, and people were used to live in there so they can spend the maximum time with Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So inshallah we will learn a little bit more about Ahle Sufa and about the um, Abu Huraira, inshallah, in the next lecture. And we will, inshallah, start to learn about the battles in Islam. And the first battle was the Battle of Badr. Inshallah, we will start with that in the next week, inshallah. So I will just end the session, inshallah, and then uh, if you guys have to say something, then you can say inshallah. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم سبحان ربك رب العزة أما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.